Sometimes you have to slow down to speed up. And today we are going to talk about the Jupiter retrograde and what that means for you. So, welcome back to the Queen Rising podcast. I am your host, Misty Anderson, and I have been coaching women since 2015 when I went through a bout of burnout, emotional eating after my now ex-husband's infidelity, and I was able to overcome those. And a lot of women wanted to know my secrets. So I coach on energy and confidence. Topics you find here on the podcast have to do with health, self-care, manifestation. We blend wellness and astrology and help you get into alignment to live your best life. Now, today we are going to be talking about Jupiter and Jupiter retrograde specifically, but we're going to talk about just Jupiter in general. So, Jupiter is a planet of luck and expansion. It is one of the signs that we look at when you're wanting to increase your income. Jupiter is ruled by Sagittarius, and so you'll notice some common themes among Jupiter and Sagittarius. Jupiter is the planet of luck, expansion, abundance. Jupiter is known as a beneficial planet along with Venus. It's here to bring you blessings. And when you learn to work with your Jupiter placement, then you can step into new abundance, new opportunities, and new growth. Jupiter wants to bless you. Now, Jupiter changes signs every year. So it stays in one sign for a full year and then it moves on to the next. So it's not a planet that, stays in one sign for a long period of time, like the other outer planets, Uranus, Pluto, Neptune, all stay anywhere from 8 to 20 years. Jupiter is in and out, stays in the sign for a year, and then it moves forward. And wherever Jupiter is happening in your chart right now is trying to bring you blessings. But Jupiter just went retrograde. And so when a planet goes retrograde, it appears to be moving backwards from our view here on Earth. And so a lot of times, mostly when a planet goes retrograde, it's not necessarily about moving forward with new ideas. It's about reflection and reflecting on how this planet is activating in your chart, where it's bringing opportunities, where it's bringing lessons for growth and transformation. Depending on the sign that Jupiter was in when you were born, can influence your life philosophy. It can influence your beliefs. Jupiter is also about teaching, mentorship, and also international travel. Now, Jupiter expands everything it touches. So, Jupiter in your chart could be a place of where you overindulge. You might be excessive. When Jupiter is too big in your chart, you may have unrealistic expectations, or you may be relying on luck more than strategy. So when we look at your natal Jupiter in my magnetic money code program, we look at Jupiter, not just the sign it's in, but also the house. And you can also look to aspects. For myself, I have Jupiter squaring my sun. So the sun represents the ego and Jupiter, luck and expansion. So I have a tendency to overcommit. I have a tendency to underestimate my resources, underestimate the time I have, underestimate how much money I have. I may overspend, I may overgive. Now, Last year, Jupiter was in Gemini, and you can reflect on what kind of growth opportunities you had when Jupiter was in Gemini. Now, it moved into Cancer on June 9th of 2025. Jupiter in Cancer is known as very beneficial. It is one of the signs it does very well in because Jupiter is all about teaching and expansion and growth, and Cancer is about nurturing. Now, on June 15th, right after it moved into Cancer, it had a square off with Saturn. Square is a harsh aspect, and Saturn is a planet of boundaries and restriction. So Saturn wants to restrict, Jupiter wants to grow. So that's a conflict. So you can think about what you're going through back in June of where you were feeling restricted versus where you're wanting growth. Just a couple days later, Jupiter squared off with Neptune, and Neptune is about dreams, spirituality, possibilities, illusions, or delusions. Now, Jupiter in Cancer is a sign of home and family. It's about nurturing. It's about taking care of others. And so I said back in my workshop, Align with the Stars, Align to Thrive, how to align with the stars in 2025. I did at the beginning of the year. I talked about where Jupiter in Gemini is about learning. It wanted you to learn something. It wanted you to maybe pick up a new study. But then in Jupiter and Cancer is like, how can you take the things that you've learned and nurture and take care of other people? So some beneficial things that you could do with Jupiter and Cancer while it's here, do any kind of emotional healing, ancestral healing, because Cancer, along with Capricorn, is one of the most nostalgia signs. It represents our roots. So you can look at past lives, do any kind of ancestral work. You can even just expand your roots into your own family circles, like deepening those emotional bonds. Other things you may be called to do right now is anything around the home, remodeling, rebuilding, moving. You may want to invest in real estate, buy a new home. Spiritual growth is also very possible right now, and also honoring your intuition. Attention to if you have any other planets in Cancer, because Jupiter is here to bless those planets while it's here. If you're watching this on YouTube, let me know in the comments what planets you have in Cancer. If you are Cancer Sun, Moon, Cancer Rising, and I like myself, I have a Cancer Venus. Now, Jupiter stations retrograde on November 11th, and it will be retrograde until March. Now, this is a time of inner expansion versus external growth. You may want to revisit your belief systems. What is your relationship with growth and luck, blessings? What is your relationship with abundance? Do you believe you can have it? You may want to revisit any emotional or family themes. What nurtures you? How do you feel nurtured? It's also about finding your sense of belonging in this world. Some shadow work you can do with this Jupiter retrograde is figuring out where you need to let go of your comfort zone. Where are you being asked to grow and bloom? Because Jupiter does well in Cancer, but Jupiter is about luck and expansion, and Cancer has a tendency to just stay in their comfort zone. You may feel called to reevaluate your own generosity. Where are you overgiving or where could you give more? This is also a really good time to deepen your spiritual practice. Meditation, if you want to go on a meditation retreat, anything that's going to deepen your own spirituality or your spiritual practices. Now, if you have Jupiter in Cancer in your natal chart, then this may be like a coming home for your Jupiter. This is what we call a Jupiter return. You have the potential to amplify your sources of growth. Think home, family, your lineage, and even resources. One thing about Cancer, they're like a closet entrepreneur. Safety and security are so like a core value of Cancer. And so they're usually pretty good with money. They're good about saving for that rainy day because that is a core need of Cancer, is needing that safety net. But even if you don't have Jupiter in Cancer, you can look to where Cancer is in your chart and understand where Jupiter is activating and where it's asking you to grow. Now, before I forget, I do have a workshop coming up, Turning Your Pain into Your Power. We're going to talk about how you can use hard lessons, whether you're going through a job loss, a career change, relationship dynamics, and how you can turn that into your power. I will drop the link in the comment section in the description, and you can check that out if that's something you feel called to. There will be a live replay. You can journal on this Jupiter retrograde around, what does emotional safety feel like for me? What do I need on an emotional level to feel safe? Where in my life have I overindulged or overexpanded myself for my need for comfort and security? And how can I restructure my own beliefs about home, family, and support? Now, Jupiter also, when we look at your natal chart, it can represent your purpose, your bigger purpose in this life, the thing you do that's so much bigger than you. So if you want me to take a look at your birth chart, you can go over to my Instagram, send me a screenshot of your chart, let me know what's going on, and I can help you figure out if you are aligned to your bigger purpose. So you can come find me at Instagram at the Misty Anderson or the Queen Rising Pod. So let me know in the comments, how are you working with this Jupiter retrograde? Where do you have Jupiter? Where do you have Cancer in your chart? And that will give us a clue on the house system and the area of life that Jupiter is asking you to grow and expand. And until next time, meet me here next week where we are going to talk about the new moon in Scorpio. And I haven't looked at the chart yet, but I've been getting a little tidbits and clues, and I think it's going to be a good one.